All right, should be there now. So I'll go ahead and tweet this.
We'll
None of
record
this will be
here.
on the show here in a minute anyway. I told people if they had questions to send them in. Not that that ever does anything.
All right.
Da 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 da. Retweet that. Retweet that. Oh, I get the notification now we're on live on YouTube. Send in questions. Cool. Let me know whenever you're ready to get started. All right, you ready?
Yep.
All right. 3, 2, 1. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's edition of At Large Bid, our Selection Sunday special. I guess you can call it special, depending what team you root for, but whatever. I'm Tim Daniel, here as always with Taylor Bergfeld. And before we get into this week's show and talk about everything, I want to say here, as we know, I think majority of the show of the network itself are not just basketball fans, but wrestling fans. So we want to send our love and our best wishes to the bad guy, Scott Hall, Razor Ramon. We're thinking about you, my man, because I
Yeah.
don't think I can handle that right
Tough.
now. Yeah,
Right.
don't think I can handle that. But with that being said, Wolfpack for life. We're gonna go ahead and talk about this the Selection Sunday recap. As you see here, the Giant, not really legible bracket, but we'll get to region by region. But Taylor, we'll start with or here our first four out slash our standby teams. We have Dayton, Oklahoma, SMU, and Texas A&M. And Oklahoma being here is laughable.
Texas A&M
18,
being here is laughable.
18 and 15, Oklahoma.
Yep.
First four out. Okay.
Texas A&M being here is laughable.
Yes, it is.
They beat Florida, they beat Auburn, they beat Arkansas to a 2 seed and a 4 seed in the conference tournament, and lost today to Tennessee. But I don't know how. I mean, we can get to some of the teams in the playing games. The first 4 games, like a Notre Dame, like a Rutgers. I know the metrics are a little bit higher on Rutgers than maybe we are, but Texas A&M is a net 46, Rutgers is 77. SMU, Dayton, and Oklahoma, I don't see a world where they would have got in. Richmond, the fact that Richmond winning the A10 kept Dayton out is wild.
Yeah.
But so let's see. But the A&M not getting snubbed is tough.
Yeah, it is. I agree. I mean, they got to the SEC championship, and I know they kind of always have this thing where conference tournaments don't matter, they say, but like, why do you play them if that's the case? So I
Yep.
thought that was kind of ridiculous. Last four in, we got Indiana, Rutgers, Wyoming, and Notre Dame. And all right, we got a first comment here. T. Smith saying Michigan making it over Texas A&M is laughable. I agree.
Yeah, I
Totally agree.
It's tough. The Michigan. I mean, I'm surprised Michigan isn't in the first 4 games. Indiana, lost
I am too.
yesterday at Indiana losing yesterday at the buzzer to Iowa. A game that I was actually at. Thinking that if they win that game, they probably aren't in the playing game. But it's crazy to me that they're there. But they want ratings. They want that appeal. I don't think Notre Dame Rutgers really moves the needle, but Indiana certainly playing on a Wednesday night against a Wyoming team is it's gonna get people tuned in. Unfortunately, sometimes that's kind of what they go for.
Notre Dame's in, but Xavier has more Q1 wins. Notre Dame has Q1 and Q2 combined. Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. Whatever.
Right. It's tough. I mean, at this point, I am convinced that the people working, the committee did not watch conference tournament weekend. So.
Nope. No, I agree. Yeah, Rutgers. I could have lived with or without. I don't mind them being in. I like Ron Harper Jr., so at least he's entertaining. He'll be fun to watch. Depending how far they get, obviously. Indiana, I agree with you. Like you said, obviously that main appeal of being who they are really comes in. I thought they had a pretty good season, honestly. But we'll get to that real quick. Sean, I see your comment of who are your dark horses you'd be willing to put money on. We will get to that through the episode. We have a lot to break down here. But I have a few I'm pretty excited to talk about. So we'll get through those. and I'll kind of go through that real quick. Let's kind of start here with the West region.
Yep.
Obviously, Gonzaga overall is the number one overall seed. They're playing
Hmm.
Georgia State. You got Boise State, Memphis. I like that game.
Yep.
UConn, New Mexico State. Arkansas, Vermont is a banger. I'm pretty stoked about that game.
Great.
Alabama against Rutgers, and the winner of Rutgers, Notre Dame. We've got Texas Tech versus Montana State, Michigan State versus Davidson, also a banger of a game, and Duke and Cal State Fullerton. So when you look at this region first, obviously it's the number one overall region because of Gonzaga, Duke being the top two, if I have that correct. I don't know they weren't the top two, were they? Kentucky was the top two.
Yeah, Kentucky was top two because Baylor's the last number 4
That's right. Yeah.
or number 1.
So
Sorry.
yeah, I'll tell you what. If I'm Jalen Duren, I'm looking at where I'm at with Memphis. Obviously, you guys have this great bounce back at the end of the year. You and I were texting earlier today about them potentially being like an 11, and
Yep.
they're a 9. And I'm
Right.
not saying that's not deserving by any means, but if you're him, you get through Boise State in round one, and you have a chance to show yourself against Paolo Banchero, who you're hearing
You mean
nothing about how he's
Chet
above
Holmgren?
you. Yeah, I mean, Chet
Sorry, Chet.
Holmgren.
Right.
Sorry.
Yeah. You're good.
I looked at Duke at the 2, got a little mixed up.
Right.
This is like if you're an NBA scout, this is the region for you, apparently.
Yep. Hmm.
Um, but you know, if you're Jalen Duren, you have a chance to show yourself here. Some of the marks I've heard from talking to scouts are not his skill set; they're his laziness. So this is your chance to kind of prove that with, because I think they beat Boise State.
Right.
Um, and then you get that Gonzaga game. I certainly don't think they beat Gonzaga, but for him, like this is your chance, man. This is your chance to really show out and do some big things. So, pretty excited. I'm glad Penny got in.
Right.
After they won the NIT last year, this is awesome.
Yeah, that's kind of my thoughts. Is they kicked Amani Bates off the team, or however you want to word
Yeah,
that he's no longer with the team. Um, and they've been efficient defensively, and they've been awesome offensively. We know we saw them at the UC game. They were just imposing their will on UC just because they're more athletic. But they had good ball movement. They're just really good scoring team. They lost today, which kind of stinks. I kind of expected a little bit better of a game against them, but
yeah. Houston
hard to
was
beat the
awesome
teams.
today.
Yeah, hard to beat the teams 3 times, so it's really nothing to lose sleep over. And even if they win, I don't think they improve their seeding by that much, right? I think a 9 or an 8 is kind of where they're at, and you could just flip maybe Boise State. But I love this matchup for them. Boise State's a top 5 team defensively per KenPom. Memphis is a great defensive team as well. Very happy to see a potential matchup with Boise State or Memphis for Gonzaga in the second round. I'm with you. I do hope we get that Memphis matchup, as I think most people would. I think, yeah, Jalen Duran versus Chet Holmgren is going to be awesome. Penny, very, very nice like revival for the program for him. He was looking to be on the way out and kind of
Yeah,
solidified himself here. So, yeah, I think in the top part of the bracket, obviously Memphis over Boise State, and then obviously Gonzaga. But I think that could be a fun Saturday matchup coming up. So, and then kind of looking down, I know there's always a we got the 5 seed UConn and 12 seed New Mexico State, and from the WCC or from the WAC, and then you got 4 seed Arkansas and 13 seed Vermont. Arkansas, man,
I like
they
them a
they kind of
lot.
they had got on a nice stretch, lost to a hot Texas A&M team in the SEC tournament. Unfortunately, did not make the tournament, but that's 2 years in a row where Muss has been like a 4 seed and has had a tough matchup. Last year he had Colgate. This year he has Vermont. Vermont just absolutely beat the shit out of everybody in the American East this year.
Yeah,
Won the American East championship game. They won every game in the tournament in the American East by a combined 110 points. So they absolutely crushed it. But I think every year at 5-12 is kind of a matchup that people look at. I wouldn't think UConn is the team to get upset this year. I think New
I
Mexico
don't
State's
either.
really good, but I think RJ Cole, Sonogo for UConn are both imposing, and they held their own with Villanova, who ended up winning the Big East. So I kind of like UConn to move on here. Arkansas, Vermont's a toss up. Vermont's very scary, but Arkansas can hit another level like they did against Auburn, like they did against Kentucky. Kind of, what are your thoughts on those 2 games?
So, yeah, I'm with you. I don't think UConn's going to lose. Like you said, Sonogo, RJ Cole, they're too good. Dan Hurley has really got those guys in their groove. Like you said, I know they lost to Villanova, but that happens. They're Villanova. Um, Vermont's a really scary matchup for them. I could really see Vermont beating Arkansas. But I also know Eric Musselman coaches his best in the NCAA tournament. So
Hmm.
that's where I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. But yeah, man, I think that's a really scary game. We got a comment there from T. Smith who said, would not be shocked if Vermont beats Arkansas and Rutgers beats Notre Dame and Alabama to advance.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
I totally agree with that.
yeah, Rutgers has shown that they can compete with anybody, and their quad one records has been phenomenal. Notre Dame's kind of leaking oil. Lost to a Virginia Tech team that was hot in the ACC tournament.
Yeah.
You don't know how their psyche might be after that going into the playing game. Alabama shows that they can score on anybody, or they don't guard anybody. So if they're hitting their shots, they're really tough to beat. But I
Mm,
think Rutgers is really good defensively, that they can kind of hold Alabama in check. I like that matchup regardless who wins the Rutgers Notre Dame game. I think
I do too.
both teams versus Alabama would be very fun to watch. So
Yeah. Um, and
looking
then
down, sorry, good.
I was just about to get to, so instead of, we could easily go game by game here, but not to get far of ourselves because, they got to get through Davidson. You know darn well that Tom Izzo is looking at round 2 against Duke, knowing it's
Hmm.
Coach K's last year, thinking, I can be the guy that ends it.
Yeah.
He ended the Zion Williams season.
Yep.
So he's like, I can do it again. I can put another stamp on the Coach K resume. And this isn't to say he dislikes Coach K by any means. He certainly respects him. But if you're Izzo, you're in the Iz zone. We know he's Mr. March. Just another thing to add to the resume, Mr. March. You know that he wants that thought process. He has that thought process.
Yeah, and it's funny because Michigan State started Foster Lawyer last year as their point guard,
Mm,
and they were in the playing game, and Foster Lawyer is the point guard of Davidson here, so it's kind of a revenge game, game one, 7-10 matchup. I do think if they can get out of that Davidson game, they could give Duke problems. I watched
I do
them
too.
yesterday in person against Purdue, a very good offensive team, and Michigan State is phenomenal defensively. Now they don't have that outside shooting with like Malik Hall or Gabe Brown. Max Christie's was really bad from three yesterday, but um, Tyrone Walker got hurt as well. So I think Michigan State can hang with anybody, and I think Duke is kind of not in a downward spiral, but man, they just don't defend, and they play a lot of ISO one-on-one ball that like just doesn't work, right? Like they're not in sync. Virginia Tech was able to pick them apart. You put Mark Williams in high ball screens, and their defensive identity kind of lacks here. Theo John hasn't been good down the stretch. Trevor Keels has been kind of meh, but Palo's been great. But yeah, I'd love to see Duke, Michigan State in the second round. I think that'd be great ratings. I mean, if you're looking at a Memphis, Gonzaga, Duke, Michigan State second round, that's a matchups that I know myself. And that's the thing was like when you root for upsets, right? Like sometimes you get a bad second round matchup. Like last year, Oral Roberts went on a run, right? Beat
Right.
Ohio State in the first round, beat Florida in the second round. 9 times out of 10, when the teams get an upset, they usually get beat by 10 to 15 in the second round. But if everything goes chalk, you're looking at good second round matchups. And I think that's what us and most college basketball fans are looking for. Storylines is kind of where I'm at. So, but
Yeah.
not to, we don't need to break down second and third round matchups. I think if you're into like taking futures on teams to come out of these regions, I think there's only 3 teams I would take to get out of this region. I would take Gonzaga up top. I don't think anybody beats them.
I
Memphis
don't
might give
either.
them a game. UConn could give them a scare. But I think it's either Gonzaga, Duke, or Texas Tech. I know that's pretty chalky, but I think Texas Tech is good enough defensively that they can slow a game down. And we've seen that when Gonzaga played against St. Mary's at St. Mary's, you make it a 60, 65 possession game, and Gonzaga may struggle. I think Texas Tech knows their identity, and they're good enough to keep the pace that way. So, but I would be I think it's Gonzaga's region to lose. I think they're the best team in the country, but I would take a flyer on maybe Texas Tech at some plus odds there.
Yeah, it's hard to overlook the fact that Gonzaga is the only team in the country that's in the top 10 in offense and defense in Ken Palm. So I know there's like the Ken Palm truthers and the Ken Palm haters, but there is something to it, to those metrics, and obviously it does prove a point. So, yeah, I like that team a lot. I do think Memphis would give him a scare. I think UConn would give him a heck of a fight, and I
Hmm.
do think Arkansas would too. If I'm picking I know it was commented earlier in the comments, but I'm picking my surprise team from this region as far as like, hey, they could win a couple games. I'm taking Rutgers. I think they'll beat Notre Dame.
Hmm.
And I do really think they can match up with Alabama. Ron Harper Jr. versus JD Davidson is a really fun college basketball matchup.
Right?
So I like that a lot. But yeah, I think Duke. I think Gonzaga Duke Elite Eight. I think Gonzaga wins.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. And yes, can't I would I just can't have Coach K going to the Final Four. Sorry,
Nope.
he lost his last game in Cameron, lost his last game in the ACC tournament. I hope this isn't some voodoo devil magic that ends in him winning it all. So,
Yeah, I agree.
got a rep. So, yep, we'll go to the South here. I guess the number 2 overall seed is the team I wanted to avoid the most. Is the Arizona Wildcats. They defeated in the UCLA Pac-12 championship game last night without Kirk Kriisa, who, if Bryant beats Wright State, you're going to get Peter Kiss versus Kirk Risa, those two dudes are going to talk so much shit to each other, and it's going to be absolutely phenomenal content. I'm here for it. But Arizona, the 1 seed, Villanova, the 2 off their Big East tournament championship, Tennessee, the 3 after their SEC title today,
Kind of
Illinois, the
shocked they were a
4.
3.
How Duke is a 2 seed and Tennessee is a 3 seed makes zero sense to
Yeah,
me.
that's where I was at.
Yeah, I would switch both of those. But looking at these brackets, some of these first round matchups, I think this is a region with upset potential.
I do too.
I think there's 1 or 2 here I like. So looking at the 8-9 matchup, the TCU Seton Hall, that's going to be a grind out defensive game. That's going to be ugly to watch. I don't really have a lean there yet. Not Seton Hall not having Bryce Aiken makes it really hard, right? Like they've
Mhm.
kind of been up and down throughout the rest of the year. TCU, Jamie Dixon has lit a fire underneath them. They've been great. I don't think, regardless of who wins the Seton Hall TCU game, that Arizona has any problem with either of those. Wouldn't you
Nope.
agree? So
Yeah, I agree. I don't
I
think
think that's
Arizona has a problem until Tennessee or Villanova.
correct. I think this is how we look at it. We don't need to break down every matchup. There'll be plenty of content from us and elsewhere that you can get full in-depth games if you're into that. But I think Arizona can cruise to the Sweet 16. Here's where I'm at with the upsets: the 5 seed Houston against 12 seed UAB. I
Mhm.
love UAB here. UAB's got dynamic guards and they run a deep bench of 10 to 11 players. Houston does not. They're razor thin. They have injuries that have crippled this team, and I think that Houston had one quad one win this year, and it was today. And I think UAB is a perfect recipe for disaster. Jelly Walker is a phenomenal guard who averaged like 28 points per game in the Conference USA tournament. I'm all over them. And I think last year we talked about it. The Winthrop Villanova game was the upset that everybody was picking, right? And then Villanova
Yeah,
just beat the shit out of Winthrop. I think this year the game everybody's going to be picking is Chattanooga over Illinois, and I'll bounce back on the market. I'll take Illinois because I think they're absolutely going to. I think they're pissed on how they played Sunday, and I think Kofi Coburn is a monster, and I don't think a lot of people have an answer for him. Even though Silvio De Sousa, from the former Kansas transfer, the guy who almost beat the shit out of somebody with a Kansas State player with a chair, WWE style. He's on Chattanooga, but I think Kofi Coburn versus Silvio is a great matchup in the 4-13. But I would be hesitant to pick that upset because I think that'll be a really popular one.
yeah. I think the most popular game is gonna be Loyola over Ohio State, right?
Mhm.
Everyone
Well,
knows the name. Ohio State's on a downward spiral. It's just an easy pick.
and the betting odds have came out. They've already started to come out. The Loyola Chicago opened up as a 2-point favorite.
Did they? Okay,
So yeah, so I mean, yes, that would be a upset per seed line, but I don't think that's an upset. Like Vegas wouldn't see it that way. I think like you said, Ohio State has trending downward, and I think Loyola is kind of hitting their stride. Now they haven't played in a week and a half, so you have to factor that in. So
that's true. Yeah. Give me Villanova in the South.
yep, okay,
I
Villanova.
trust you. Right.
I'm looking at Michigan, Colorado State. Sorry, we'll touch on those 2 games. Colorado State, Michigan. I don't really. I wouldn't be putting too much stock in Michigan.
No,
David
I'm
Roddy
not
from
either.
Colorado State is a phenomenal player. Him versus Hunter Dickinson will be a must watch. I just don't trust Michigan's guards. They went
I don't either.
the transfer portal route with mid-major guards. Guy from Coastal Carolina, and it just didn't really work out this year. They're not a very good outside shooting team. I'll take Colorado State. I'm actually going to take Tennessee and Arizona in the Elite Eight, and I'm going to take Tennessee.
I do like
Early
Tennessee a
thoughts.
lot.
My early thoughts. I love Kennedy Chandler, Josiah Jordan James, uh, Brandon Huntley Hatfield. Like this team is really deep. They have a really good defense. They're very good at like when a team gets on a run. Like Kentucky yesterday was storming back. Like Tennessee knows how to like slow it down and stop the run, like stop the bleeding. Right, that's all you ask for when the team's just getting crazy hot from 3. And I think Tennessee's guards, their 2 guard lineup is very fun to watch. I think Chandler's an NBA future player, NBA star. I think he's so shifty and he's able to finish through contact for being such a smaller guard that I'm very fascinated with him. I think him versus Colin Gillespie in the Sweet 16 would be just a phenomenal matchup. But I think Villanova, yeah, cruises. They're at the bottom of the bracket. I think we get a Tennessee, Villanova Sweet 16 with Arizona and Illinois, and I'll take Arizona and Tennessee in the Elite Eight. I'll take probably Tennessee. So for once again, your betting tickets, I would probably chalk again, but I'd take maybe a flyer on Tennessee. If not, maybe Arizona. I think Arizona has a pretty clear path to the Final Four.
Yeah, I love Tennessee. They're really good. Let's look at the East real quick. So this is where, like we said, Baylor the last 4, Kentucky the top 2. So you've got Baylor, Norfolk State, North Carolina, Marquette, which I know Taylor's gonna have some thoughts on. St. Mary's versus the winner of Wyoming, Indiana. UCLA Akron, that's a banger. That's a fun game.
Hmm.
Virginia Tech as the 11 against number 6 Texas, the ACC champion Virginia Tech, who took Xavier's bid more than likely. Purdue against Yale, Murray State San Francisco, and Kentucky St. Peter's. Look, I know we're going to get into our deep dive, but I'm going to make this as easy as possible. I think Kentucky wins the East this year. I do think Murray State's going to be a lot of fun in the second round,
Nope.
but I think Kentucky comes out the East.
So watching the bracket, the bracket show, the East was the last region to be announced. So obviously, after the first three had been announced, I knew Carolina would be in this region. I was praying that Murray State would be the 7, right? I did not want to play Kentucky again. I was praying that I knew North Carolina and Murray State would be 7, 8, or 9, like in those 1 and 3 ranges.
Yeah.
I was praying that Carolina either avoided Murray and or avoided Kentucky. I know you never want to play a 1 seed. I mean, that's, odds are you're not going to win a lot of the times. But Baylor's banged up. Jonathan Chamo Chachua has been hurt. They just lost in the Big 12 tournament to Oklahoma. Carolina getting Marquette here. I think Leaky Black can shut down Justin Lewis. I think Carolina can prevail. I don't see them be a world where they beat Baylor. They've just been so inconsistent in big games where even the Virginia Tech game Saturday night, they got kind of boat raced early. And I think for Matthew Meyer, I think James Akinjo and LJ Cryer, I think these guards are dynamic enough that they can get their shots up. And the moment Carolina takes a punch, they kind of stumble back and they don't really know how to recover. Looking at the top bracket, though, I think Baylor can kind of cruise to the Sweet 16. The St. Mary's is a sleeper for me. I think they have no problem with a Wyoming, Indiana.
I don't either.
That potential matchup with UCLA in the second round would be very enticing to me. I'd probably even lean Nails. I think UCLA has star-studded and way more potential stars on their team, but I think St. Mary's is a team, and I think I'm more of a sucker to this. I just lean teams that can control the pace. I really like the teams that can slow it down and make you value the possessions. And I think UCLA can sometimes get a little lenient with the ball, or a little sporadic with the ball, sorry, and it end up costing themselves. So I look at maybe a St. Mary's Baylor game in the Sweet 16, but I think Baylor makes it to the Elite Eight. Now, however, in the bottom of the bracket, I think Purdue has no problem with the winner of Texas Tech, Virginia Tech. I think Virginia Tech can probably beat Texas, honestly. I think Virginia Tech is a better team than Texas. That's a potential matchup for me. Purdue should have no problem with Yale. I love this Murray State team, Murray State, Kentucky, but this feels just like Kentucky Wofford a few years back, right? Kentucky was a 2 seed with PJ Washington in them. The Wofford Terriers with Storm Murphy with, what was the kid's name? The
Fletcher McGee.
Yeah, Fletcher McGee, like all-time leading three-point shooter. They came in and it was close for a little bit, but UK's size and their athleticism just kind of outweighed the Wofford team. I think it's kind of a similar story here. Murray's great defensively. They are a team that slows the game down just like San Francisco. So that's something that is UK's kryptonite. Look at like losses against Tennessee, losses at LSU. Like kind of if a team wants to get out and run with Kentucky, it usually never ends well. But if they slow it down and make Kentucky value the ball and limit the number of possessions, that can make Kentucky in a closer game. I know I've kind of been it's been repeated myself, but I think the top 3 seeds here are the worth the bet, make the Final Four. I love this Purdue team. Another reason that Kentucky does struggle is because Oscar Tshiebwe is National Player of the Year, and a lot of teams don't have the size to bang with him down in the post. But then you look at Purdue, right? Zach Edey, 7'4", Travion Williams, 6'11". Like that's not who, if you're a Kentucky fan, you want to see, especially when you have a Sasha Stevanovic, who is a 3-point sniper, and you have Jaden Ivey, who is a top 5 pick in the NBA draft. I think Purdue can can beat Kentucky. I don't know how likely it is, but they're my pick out of this region. Purdue is my pick. I think the winner of the bottom section of it, of Purdue Kentucky, is whoever gets out of that Sweet 16 matchup should beat Baylor in the Elite Eight. So,
yeah, here's why I pick Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
I just really feel as far as like on a talent level, and I know that doesn't mean anything come these games, especially with John Calipari's inability to manage a game within the last 5 minutes. In the last media timeout, if it's a close game, we know he likes to make some sort of weird mistake that causes game. But we've seen when Kentucky's hitting their shots how good they are. And I totally get what you're saying about Purdue. They are very talented offensively. They can outscore you, but they can't outstop you. And I don't think that they're going to be able to stop them. I love Jaden Ivey, but is he going to be able to keep, Ty Washington from scoring 16? I don't think so. As far as, like you said, Oscar Tshiebwe, and yeah, there's that size there. And when Oscar Tshiebwe stays out of foul trouble, he's incredible. If he gets in foul trouble, it's obviously a different story for Kentucky. But I feel like in a situation like this, this is a team that missed the tournament last year. Obviously had the season of a disaster last season. I feel like as far as everyone in this region, I feel like they're the most talented team on paper. So I feel like at this some point that's going to kick in. And yeah, could Purdue beat them? Absolutely. I do. I feel that way. But I just kind of feel like Kentucky is just a better team. And I just feel like if it comes down to you need to get stops, I trust Kentucky to get stops more than I trust Purdue.
Yeah, Purdue's been terrible defensively all year, and that's been my biggest issue with them. Kentucky's great. We've preached it all year. We've been impressed by them. Even a loss in the SEC tournament doesn't do much for me.
Yeah.
We just ran into a really good Tennessee team who was playing well, right? Like it's just kind of how it goes. But yeah, I love Ty Ty. Spear Wheeler's meh to me, but they need Kellen Grady to get going. Middle of the year when Kentucky looked like the number one team in the country, he was hitting shots, and I know that's
Right.
easy to say, like no shit, but not being able to get him looks and teams are tracking down on him. They got to figure out ways to get him better touches. Keon Brooks has to get back to more of that Kansas level gameplay of him, and I think this team can easily make the Final Four. So
yeah. Real quick before we go to the last region, do you want to talk North Carolina Marquette at all?
not really. I mean, well, couple quick hitters. If the team that shows up at Duke plays, I think they can give Baylor a good game. If the team that shows up every other big game of the year, I think they can get beat by 15 by Marquette. Opening line has Carolina at 2.5. I don't really have a lean either way. I think Marquette is a couple years away from being really, really good, but
I do too.
what I saw against them against Creighton in the Big East tournament wasn't the most appealing game, but I think Carolina should be able to handle them. But won't be surprised anyway with what happens with them. They've been so up and down. So
Yeah, I think Shock has done a great job.
Mhm.
I don't know. We've seen how he is in tournaments, though. As I say that, only problem with Marquette, only problem with Marquette, they have Shaka Smart, as it's said in our Twitter feed here. So
Yeah,
good timing. Good
yeah,
timing.
haven't
I
hasn't won
like
an
it.
NCAA first round game since the VCU run they had. So
Yeah. Um, I think Indiana beats Wyoming, but like I said, I'm with you. I don't think either of these teams have a chance against St. Mary's. And I do really like. I'm trying to think. Like, I don't really have. I don't know necessarily take a giant upset in this region as far as like in the first round. Like Yale's not beating Purdue. I don't
no,
think Akron beats UCLA. So I think if you're betting on like if you're doing a bracket poll, I think that's kind of this is kind of going to be your chalk one until probably about the Sweet 16 or so. All right. So our last region, we've got the Midwest. Kansas as the number 1 seed, Auburn as the 2. You've got San Diego State Creighton as the 8-9. I think Creighton wins that game. You got Iowa Richmond. That's a fun game. Richmond Spiders, A10 champs. Providence, South Dakota State. LSU, Iowa State. I think a lot of people are going to pick Iowa State here because Will Wade got fired like yesterday, which is hilarious, by the way. Wisconsin, Colgate. USC, Miami. I love that game. We'll talk
hmm
about that for sure. And then Auburn, Jacksonville State. So I feel like this might have been my toughest region when it was first announced, like who to pick where. I really like Auburn, as we've talked about, but we've seen how they play away from their home arena.
hmm
Um, Obviously, Kansas is incredible, but we've seen them lay some eggs as well. And then, I like Wisconsin. They've obviously been way better than we thought they would. But I don't know if I like them in the tournament. LSU, who knows what they're going to be right now with everything going on off the court. And then Providence has looked awesome at times and terrible at times. So
yeah.
it's
My
weird.
my thing with Providence, I know I talked about it earlier. The Chattanooga, Illinois game might be the most upset. South Dakota State will beat Providence. I, I bet I haven't even looked at the spread yet, but I bet I'll look it up right now. I think South Dakota State will beat them. I think that's the most popular pick here. They're so good offensively. Let me see. Let me see. Spread. It is opening spread. I'll have you guess what it is.
Providence 2.5.
-2 for a
Okay.
4-13 matchup. They're the number 1 3-point shooting team in the country. Providence is the luckiest team in the country. They gave up a 31-2 run against Creighton. 31-2, Tim. In the semifinal game of the Big East. I love Ed Cooley. This team, I don't see how they kept winning, or I didn't see how they kept winning, but I think this is my upset pick here. Looking at the top of the bracket, we'll just kind of go real quick. Kansas, obviously, don't see them having a problem with San Diego State or Creighton. Should walk to the
No.
Sweet 16. I love Iowa. Keegan Murray was phenomenal yesterday. I got to see him in person. 8 of 10 from 3, had 34 points against Trace Jackson Davis in Indiana. He was
I
great
like him
today
a
in the
lot.
Big Ten title game. Really, really good player. Jordan Bohannon's awesome. Connor McCaffrey's really good. Patrick McCaffrey's really good. Like this Iowa team's hitting their stride at the right moment. They get a Richmond team that might be emotionally spent after
Think
winning
about
the
if this
A10.
Iowa team had Jack Nungy right now.
Hmm.
Oh my god.
Another shooting big that they can float around the perimeter. Wonder what he's thinking, honestly. But anyway, Iowa Richmond. I think Iowa should win. Iowa South Dakota State. That total might be like 170 because of how efficient these teams are from scoring. I love Iowa to get to the Sweet 16 here, and then at the bottom of the bracket, LSU Iowa State is going to be a dogfight. It's going to be an ugly, low scoring game. I'm with you. I maybe would stay away from this game. I don't know how. Don't know how LSU is going to respond after losing their head coach. A lot of players might be checking out. That way, they're worried about where they're going to be playing next year. Iowa State, after a 2-win year last year, they're in the tournament. What a great job from Otzelberger and staff. I love Wisconsin against Colgate. Miami, Florida is my pick over USC. I love
I have
Charlie
that one too.
Moore, Cam McGusty, Isaiah Wong. Those are three dynamic guards that can win you some games in March. And they're like cockroaches. They just survive in March.
Mhm.
All year, they've just been in close game after close game after close game and just kind of punch back and been there. So you kind of need that for the tournament. I actually am going to take Miami over Auburn. I just don't.
I have that feeling too. I just feel like away from their home arena.
Yep.
I keep wanting to say Jordan Hare, but that's the football stadium. I know
Yep.
better because my cousin went to Auburn. One of my best
Oh,
friends from high school went to Auburn. So if I get
yeah.
it wrong, they're going to be mad at me and they'll
Right.
tell me.
You get a lot of
Um,
text messages.
right.
I
I
all
just feel
year
like they're
we've
just play so weird away from home. And I think
all
Jabari Smith's
year
already thinking about the NBA.
Right. All year we've said Auburn's guards are going to be their downfall. And you're going to go and get a game against a senior Charlie Moore, Isaiah Wong, who's a junior, and Cam McGusty, who are a first team All ACC. Yes, please. I'll take Miami in that game. Now if they might lose to USC, and I might be eating crow here, but would not be surprised if Miami beat Auburn. But other than that, I like Iowa to maybe beat Kansas in the Sweet 16. I think I what Kansas wants to do, they can. Keegan Murray is going to be the best player on the floor in
Yeah.
most of these games. And Jordan Bohannon, he's eighth year senior, it feels like, but he's been in big games and he knows how to win. I really think this team can kind of get there. And my final four, I think this will be the region that should be Kansas because they have a pretty easy path other than Iowa. But I think this is a region that could cause chaos. I would take a flyer on maybe Wisconsin, a Iowa team, and then Kansas. I would not buy any stock in Auburn. So, which means Auburn's going to make the Final Four. So,
Yep. Jabari Smith's going to be incredible. And
yep.
we're going to sit here and go, yeah, we told you guys that was going to happen.
So,
Yeah. So I'm with you. Yeah, I feel like it's gonna be kind of like I like Colgate, but I don't think they're beating Wisconsin.
yep.
You know, I I think I might take Iowa State over LSU.
Yeah,
I I,
you don't know
I
what
don't
you're
love
gonna get,
it.
man. You don't know what
Yeah,
you're
you
gonna
you
get.
have no
So,
clue. You at least know what you're getting from Iowa State. You know they're not very good offensively, but they're good defensively. So you at least have comfort there. Um, I don't think Creighton would necessarily give Kansas fits, but I think San Diego State could. Do I think Kansas would beat them? Absolutely. But I do definitely think it would be a fight.
yep.
Um, I love what Richmond's been able to do. Obviously, winning the A10 tournament today yesterday was awesome. No, it was today. Yeah. Thanks a lot, Davidson.
Hmm.
But, I don't know how they can kind of go and beat an Iowa team like we've talked about. I think Iowa's just really, really impressive, especially the way they put something together this year. Um, Ooh, in the comments, we got T. Smith saying, I am convinced South Dakota State can upset Iowa. Can we please get some reasonings here? Because I'm curious on this. I'm not saying you're wrong. Just want to get some thoughts here, and I'll read them here on the show if you get them to me. But
I mean, I'll respond here. They're the number one 3-point shooting team in the country. They
yeah,
space you out. They play at a high pace. That's kind of what Iowa wants to do here. Like Iowa, South Dakota State can miss. I think it was like 48 or 47 threes in a row and still be the number one 3-point shooting team in the country. They can survive runs. I watched the Summit League title game against North Dakota State, where they, got to give up a 9-0 run to kind of get down four late in the second half, and they just responded. Like they're resilient. They went 18-0 in conference and won the conference tournament. This team knows how to win. Haven't lost a game since mid-December. Um, I just think this team's kind of built for this moment, and I think Iowa's a team that they've shown that even in their January struggles, like they can get down, they can lose to a Northwestern, a Rutgers, a Minnesota, and I think South Dakota State is kind of a better version of the teams.
that's fair. Yeah, I like those points. All right, man. Well, I think we've kind of gone through it here.
Mhm.
So obviously, you know, we're not here for the best advice as far as your brackets because I'm terrible at it. But I will ask you this. I don't know if you, I mean, you can look at this while you're doing the show if you haven't had a chance to fully review it. Most surprising spread so far for you? I think I'm going to go with the fact that San Francisco is a 1.5 favorite over Murray State.
Yeah, that's I like the WCC this year. Got three teams in. They got San Francisco, they got St. Mary's, and they got Gonzaga. But
Right.
I, I that's a little strong of a bias for me. I think Todd Golden's a phenomenal coach. I think Matt McMahon's a better coach, honestly. And it's funny because these two guys are playing with all these jobs that are opening. I feel like these two, the winner of this game, is going to get a lot of high Power Five offers, right? I
Yeah.
don't think either coach will be the head coach at their respected school after this weekend. I haven't looked at the spread yet. I know South Dakota State like I said, over Providence is 2.5. Loyola, 1 point favorite over Ohio State. But I haven't dug too deep into it. Obviously, I will kind of throughout the week maybe start doing some articles about teams I like and whatnot. But stay tuned for our picks, just because daily picks and stuff. With how the betting market's going to change so much from now until Wednesday. So
Right.
my advice is don't bet the first 4 games.
Nope.
Don't be down money going into Thursday with how crazy it's going to be when on games that don't matter. Rutgers, Notre Dame, and Wyoming, Indiana. You don't need to bet on this. I promise.
I agree.
So,
All right. So we'll go pull these up real quick. West region, I'm going Gonzaga.
yep. I'll
Okay.
go. Yeah, I'll go Gonzaga as well.
South region, I'm going Villanova.
I'm going
You picked
Arizona.
Tennessee, right?
Yeah, Tennessee. Yeah, sorry.
Make up your mind.
I know. I'm not. I looked at it. See, that's why I haven't even filled it out yet. But I'll fill this out and throw it away like 8 times before I submit one. So
Yeah, I will do the same. East region, I pick Kentucky.
I'll pick Purdue.
Okay. And then the Midwest region. Did I even make a pick? I don't think I did.
Mm-mm.
Okay. I hate this region. Not gonna lie, I don't really love
Yeah,
any of these teams.
I'm going
I will go with
Kansas.
Kansas on the sake of it's
Yep.
Kansas, but I
Yep.
would not be shocked if they aren't there.
My national championship is Gonzaga versus Arizona,
Hmm.
and the I guess the mentor finally beats the apprentice because I'll take Gonzaga over Arizona.
It's like episode 3 where Obi-Wan and Anakin fight. Is that what you're
Yep.
saying here?
Right.
Okay.
Correct. Arizona
All
have a
right.
great first half, and Mark Few will be like maybe drunk after his DUI. Yeah, I just gotta take a dig at him every now and then.
Whoa!
But
Hey!
yeah,
Whoa!
I'll go Gonzaga over Arizona. That's where I'm at.
LOL. Gonzaga's not winning the championship. They'll choke. Don't worry.
Still
So
haven't made a Final Four. That's the running
yeah,
joke, right?
yeah. They make a Final Four and they fall apart every time.
Mm,
Um, I guess I will go. I'll take Gonzaga to beat Kentucky. I don't really trust it. I'm not gonna lie. And if I'm saying this about Kentucky, you obviously know that where it's like it's not anywhere near some BBN bias because I'm the farthest thing from that.
mm.
Um, but I do think Gonzaga's the best team in the country at the moment. I'll take. I don't think Villanova is going to go to the Final Four, so that would mean I have Kansas. I mean, I do think Villanova. I would have Kansas versus Gonzaga in the national championship, and I don't feel good about that at all. So I'll take Gonzaga, but I'm probably the worst person to give a pick on this. So
And I think what we'll do is for anybody that's still listening, which we appreciate anybody joining in and interacting with us. It's been
yeah, the
super
comments have been
awesome
cool.
tonight.
This has been fun. We've been looking for this for a
Um,
long time.
we'll tweet from our main account. Myself, my bracket, Tim's bracket, and the other people from the network. May even do a bracket pool that we ask people to join. We'll do it for free. I've been the guy that's collected money, and I just hate collecting money, taking it
It's
out,
not
and
fun.
paying the winner. It's just I think if you're doing it for the bracket, I think you're just doing it for fun, right? Just to see where you stack up. Now you're mad when you win. If you're in first place after in a free pool, you're just like, you got to be kidding me. But there's plenty of money pools and stuff to join. But maybe we'll post our bracket here for Wednesday. But I can't wait. And it's best 4 days. Short work week. Glad the schedule, the times just came out. They just announced the tip off times and stuff. Carolina plays Thursday, St. Patrick's Day at 4:30. Jesus, I'm gonna be out watching the game somewhere. It was funny. My fiance was asking me. She said, when do you want Carolina to play, Thursday or Friday? And selfishly, I wanted Friday just because I knew I wasn't going out Friday. But I said it doesn't matter if they play Thursday because if they play late, I'll be drinking myself. I'll be worrying so much before the game, and if they play right in the middle of the afternoon, like they lose, I'll just try to forget that night. So I can't wait, man. It's the best 4 days in sports. just the regular return of the normal schedule with the first four on Tuesday and Wednesday. All you have to do is get through one day of work tomorrow, and then just get home Tuesday night, or work from home Tuesday, however you do it. And you got games Tuesday and Wednesday, and then the greatest 4 days in sports starts Thursday. So, any closing remarks for you?
No, I'm trying to figure out what time if they've announced Notre Dame's time yet. I keep finding out their women's team. Um,
Yeah, I had it here. Let me pull it up. You go ahead.
I do real quick want to mention because we did have some news, like we mentioned earlier in the show. Will
Yep.
Wade obviously getting terminated from LSU, as it sounds like they've got some sanctions coming their way. How awesome is that Brian Kelly stuck there during that? Take
Yeah.
that,
Right.
loser.
Darn.
Take that, you loser. And then also, I shouldn't say that. That's really mean. That's me being biased.
Mike White.
Yeah, I was gonna say Mike White leaving Florida for Georgia.
Yep.
That feels like a lateral move to me, but sure, buddy. If you knew you were getting the can and someone else offered you a job, it worked for
Well,
Shaka Smart. It might work for you.
yeah, and I thought Mike White would wait for Ole Miss to open up because he's an alum there.
Yeah.
So he played at Ole Miss, like waiting for Kermit Davis to probably get fired or resign. But yeah, that's a weird move. Florida's going to be a great job. I can't wait to hear Billy Donovan's going back to leave the Bulls, which
Hey,
he's not leaving. I'm
stop
just
it.
saying, that's all you're going to hear in the news for the next week and a half is Donovan leaving. But I think Matt McMahon, Todd Golden, Missouri's open after Cunzo Martin got fired. The SEC, man, the best league in college
We
basketball
obviously know
this year.
Maryland's open.
Yeah, the best league in college basketball. If you lose, you're not going to make it. If you can't win in the SEC, you're not going to make it. Just like SEC football, they're going to have the best coaches after this offseason. Yeah, Maryland and Louisville are still opening. Louisville has a meeting of the board of trustees tomorrow morning, so keep your eyes peeled for maybe some announcement of Kenny Payne or maybe a hiring of a head coach that did not make the tournament. But we'll have you covered on that end of it. But I can't wait, man. They announced the times for the first four, and it's Tuesday, 6:40, Texas Southern versus Texas A&M Corpus Christi, 9:10 Indiana versus Wyoming. Wednesday, 6 p.m. or 6:40 Bryant versus Wright State, and 9:10 Notre Dame versus Rutgers.
I don't know if I'm gonna be making that trip for a 9-10 game.
It's a lot. The good news, if
Dayton's
you're off,
not a bad drive.
no, if you're
But
off Thursday, then maybe because
I'm
you'll get
not.
home at, yeah, see, that's tough.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think I do that. You're getting out of there at 12:30, 11:30, 12 at the worst.
I feel bad for those workers who
Yeah.
have to drive back to South Bend that night.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Tough.
God bless you. Well, hey, this was fun. We've been doing this every year. God, this is our 6th year doing this now.
Mm-hmm.
5th if you count the COVID year, I guess.
That was a tough podcast.
That wasn't fun. No,
Yep.
it was not. But hey, we're excited to be doing this. We're glad to have the tournament back. I have to now watch the NIT and see where Xavier's going to be playing here. I guess it'll be announced in a few minutes.
Gross.
Yeah, it is. But we'll be checking in. We'll probably be back to at least between each round.
Yep.
We'll probably put something together. But have a good one, everyone. We're excited for this. It's March Madness, best time of the year. One shining moment. Have a good night.
Peace.